This is a City AM Studios production.
Hello and welcome to Business as Usual, brought to you by Okta with me, Matt Kenyon.
And me, Martin Kimber. Coming up, ahead of those pivotal local elections, the Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch has told City AM she wants an economic revolution and wants to reinvigorate the city with tax-cutting policies. We'll bring you a chunk of that interview.
The writer, public intellectual and all-round funny man Stephen Fry is taking a tech conference organiser to court. He's suing the event organisers for £100,000 after he fell off the stage at the event in 2023.
Plus, meet the vendors making tens of thousands of pounds from Pokemon cards. We take you inside the surprisingly lucrative world of trading cards and the surprising tax implications for those who sell them. Welcome back to Business as Usual. Kemi Badenoch has told City AM that she wants to see an economic revolution in the UK. The Tory leader, speaking to our editor-in-chief Christian May, said it's time to face up to the issues such as an ageing population and the cost of net zero. This, however, is what happened when Christian pointed out that the UK's current energy predicaments were not in fact born under a Labour government, but under a Conservative one.
I was saying this is absolutely not what we should be doing. When Theresa May brought that legislation in, I was one of two MPs. The other was a Labour MP who said, what on earth are we doing? What is the plan for this? And it's important because even when the Conservatives had a more optimistic sort of outlook on what would happen with this agenda, Labour was saying, do more, do it faster, do it harder. We would have been in a much worse position if Labour had been in government during that time. We now have Ed Miliband tripling down on this. And that really worries me. We need baseline national resilience.
Okay, so you'd like us to be in a situation where we had more resilience.
Yes, and not also, and all of that also means scrapping the energy profits levy. I think it's a terrible idea. It was back when Jeremy Hunt put it in. When I was in government, I was saying we shouldn't do this. I was business secretary, and so many of the things that I was warning about have come to roost. So I tell people that as business secretary, I would have people come into my office and say you need to do something about business rates. I couldn't do anything about it. The Treasury, responsible for business rates, they'd say you need to do something about corporation tax. Surely you're the Minister for Corporations. I say the Treasury owns that policy. Basically, the business department was like the customer complaints department for government. All of the complaints came to me, but the decisions were made elsewhere. These are the sorts of things that I want to change. We have been hammering business in this country across successive governments, Conservative and Labour, for far too long. That's why I want to see new policies that take the burdens off business.
Okay, so looking beyond the sort of response to the crisis, problems with our economy that have been building up for 20 years, for sure. What sort of economy is it that you would like to see in this country, and in what way would it be different to the one that we've got now? It's a situation with the record high tax burden. There are many, many people, particularly readers and viewers of City AM, who just feel like they're standing still. What doesn't matter if they get a promotion, doesn't matter if they work hard, it doesn't matter. There are too many obstacles and burdens in their way. Many businesses will feel that. Many individuals who want to get on in life would feel that too. What would be your proposition to people who feel like this isn't a country that's living up to its end of the deal and that there are too many obstacles, it isn't working in the way people had come to expect?
So it's more than a feeling. It is a reality. It's a fact. It's not just that they feel this. That all the statistics show, all of the data shows that we have been standing still. We used to be doing a lot better than the US. Now, if we were a US state, we would be the poorest. We'd be poorer than Alabama and Mississippi on a GDP per capita basis. I think that's terrible. What we need is a mindset change, first of all. It is not government that creates growth. It is business that creates growth. Actually, what government needs to do is create the conditions and get out of the way. And for a very long time, we've assumed that we're a rich country and what we need is the government to step in, make things a bit fairer. So we have all these interventions, all of these schemes. We have, for example, just giving you one of the most recent things, government whacked up the minimum wage, changed the thresholds at which the minimum wage would apply. So lots of part-time people getting dragged into it, put up on a jobs tax that employer NI increase, and now young people can't get jobs. And what's the government done? It's now offering a little bit of a bung to businesses that if they can employ a young person on benefits, then they'll give them, I think up to £3,000. This is terrible. The government has made a mess and then is now offering businesses a sticking plaster.
So what is
for
it you're calling for? Are you calling for some seriously dramatic changes to level of state expenditure, to level of personal and corporate taxation? This does feel like a situation that requires a dramatic change, not just of mindset, as you put it.
But if the mindset is not there, then we're going to end up with all of these tweaks and schemes and micro policy. Now, the challenge that we have is making sure that the numbers add up. We saw what happened with the budget of 2022 when there were lots of, really lovely deregulatory, pieces of policy changes, which actually were not, and the books were not balanced at the same time. I think the worst thing about that budget was many people assumed that deregulation and tax cuts were the problem when it was the £150 billion of subsidizing people's energy bills.
So you'd like to revisit some of those policy ideas?
We have to balance the books first.
Would you like a 40p?
I'm not announcing any new policies. I would like to bring taxes down much lower, but we need to make sure that we can afford it first. That means we need to look at cuts in spending. That is why our first policy announcements have been about bringing down the welfare bill. It is astonishing. This month, we found out that we are now spending more on welfare than we get in income tax. The rider is now heavier than the horse. This is unsustainable.
But the biggest part of that budget. The biggest part of that budget is the state pension. And that the triple lock is something. You will be having private conversations. People will tell you this, that, and the other. There does seem to be a private consensus emerging in Westminster that this is something which is utterly unsustainable.
So we have said very clearly that if we were growing at 2-3%, the triple lock would not even be a conversation that we're having. The triple lock is a symptom of a more fundamental problem, which is growth. We've got to start with growth. Changing the triple lock is redistribution. This is, again, it's still a left-wing mindset. Well, there's too much money here. Let's shift it over there. That is not game-changing. And when the last Conservative government first came in 2010, there was a lot of pensioner poverty. The state pension is £12,500. It's not very much money to live on. We are getting poorer and we're unable to afford things that we should be able to afford. We're getting older as a society. We need to look at the way we work, how we deal with an aging population. Most of, it's local government elections. Most people don't realize that councils spend most of their money on adult social care. We have got to look at all of these things from the ground up. They've all got to be linked. Our defense policy is linked to our energy policy. Our energy policy is linked to our business policy. Our business policy is linked to education policy. All of these things just being announced one at a time randomly is part of the reason why we're in this mess. So what I'm talking about is quiet revolution. I want an economic revolution, but I've got to make sure we can find the funding and the savings first. And I want to do it all at the same time so that people can see it's real.
This episode is brought to you by Okta. AI agents are everywhere now, quietly making decisions across organisations. Now that's great until you stop and think about who's in charge.
If you don't know what an agent is, what it's connected to, or what it's allowed to do, you can't really trust it to act in your interests. That's the bit Okta focuses on. They secure the identity of AI agents, so there's one clear layer of control across the whole system.
Which means every agent has a clear identity, permissions, and a line of accountability, even as things scale.
Risk becomes something you manage, not guess at. Secure every agent, secure any agent. Okta secures AI. Welcome back to Business as Usual.
So Stephen Fry, the Blackadder and QI star, is suing the organisers of a tech conference. So he's looking for £100,000 in damages for an incident that happened in 2023 at the CogX conference. Rosie Harris-Davison has the full story. Rosie, what has happened here?
So Stephen Fry was attending this tech conference. At first, I thought, why is Stephen Fry at a tech conference?
He's a big tech enthusiast.
Yeah, he is, so it seems, as well as being an actor. Clearly has some time on his hands. But he was basically delivering a speech about the impact of AI. He then walked off the stage and fell 6 feet onto some concrete.
6 feet?
6 feet, yeah. And he broke his pelvis, his right leg, and about 4 ribs.
Awful.
I did look for a video to see the full, but alas, couldn't find one. So he's suing the company that put on the conference and also the event organizer 100K.
So can you tell us a bit about the event organizer? So COGX, that's the name of the conference?
Yeah, so CogX Festival is the name of the conference. They were basically owned by a company called Cognition X, who are actually, interestingly, experiencing financial difficulties, debt repayments, struggling already. So this is going to do them dirty.
The thing that stood out to me about this story was if this had happened in the United States, it wouldn't have been 100,000. It would have been like 100 million.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So Rosie, obviously there's only so much that we know at this stage. It's still very much a case which is ongoing. But what do we know about the case that Stephen Fry is making against the COGX organisers at the moment?
So he is basically claiming that they were negligent because the stage and the backstage area weren't well lit enough. So he couldn't see his exit off the stage, but also it was a 6-foot drop supposedly as well, and concrete underneath, which doesn't feel very safe.
So is that a drop behind the stage?
Just directly off the... so basically he bowed.
Okay.
After he delivered his speech,
Right.
bowed, exited the stage and just fell.
The only thing I have to add to this is apparently Stephen Fry talked about this incident on the BBC with Claudia Winkleman, and he thanked the NHS for their help and praised the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, and the praise consisted of, it's not a famous hospital, but it's doing extraordinary work every day, as if it has to be like an extraordinary,
That's lovely.
like a really famous hospital to be any good.
Okay.
It's not famous, but it still did the job.
And on that note, it's time to move on. Thank you very much, Rosie. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you both.
Thank you. I'm sure we'll have you back very soon.
Look forward to it.
Many of you at home will have a drawer or box full of old Pokemon and Match Attacks cards. But did you know that these could be worth hundreds of thousands or even millions of pounds? Well, good news. Matt Kenyon has done a journalism. He's written a thing.
This was one of the sort of rare times that I do write for the paper. So I come out of my box and do a feature. And I got an invite, which I found quite eye-catching, which is to the London Card... What's it called? The London Card Show, which is a sort of trading card conference at the Excel Centre in East London. So near the, I don't know if anyone's been to the Passport Office in Custom House. It's just next to that. This was fascinating. So I mean, we get approached for quite a lot of these events. I got approached this one, and I thought it was interesting because I think it was just a few weeks after there'd been a big auction of a Pokemon card, which I think went for 800 grand,
Blimey.
which is pretty extraordinary. And then I looked into it, and a few months ago, the YouTuber Logan Paul had sold another one, which is a very pristine, perfect Pikachu. You know Pikachu, the yellow
I know
Pokemon.
Pikachu. He was wearing it around his neck.
Exactly,
right?
yeah. And he sold it for £12 million. 12 million. That's extraordinary.
I have been investing my pension in all the wrong places.
Well, that's the thing. Well, it got me thinking, what sort of asset class is this? And also, like, are these... Because I thought, and I was written about this in my piece, like, was this some kind of one-off performance art kind of sale, basically because Logan Paul is a famous guy?
Like that energy drink that they were selling, that KSI was
Prime.
selling. Yeah. That they had queues around the corner, and then now you can buy it for £1 in Aldi.
Yeah, so it got me thinking, like, is it sort of overblown? So I went to the conference, so I want to figure out sort of what the more, like, grassroots, as if to what extent it can be grassroots, the grassroots kind of experience of being a trading card vendor is. So I went there for a few hours one Sunday over sort of the course of a 3-day conference, chatted to quite a few vendors. It's pretty extraordinary. So I just spoke to this escalating series of people a few of them were selling football cards, a few of them selling Pokemon cards, but they were selling them for up to sort of £50,000-60,000. This whole cottage industry had blown up around it. So you had all of these people who were also selling the security apparatus. So it was extraordinary. There's a guy who was working at this company. I think he'd been scouted from another company I think from Jellycat or something, like one of those
Right.
other sort of like
Yeah.
memorabilia sort of companies.
It's like a Labubu thing.
Exactly, and
Another thing I don't understand.
and I think he was selling like the display cases for Labubu or Jellycat or something, and then he got brought on, and he was showing me some of their merchandise, which was these card carrying cases where you get these like magnetic plastic snap cases. They fit into these secure binders. Those binders fit into these like security deposit briefcases.
Oh my
They've got double sets of combination locks on them, so they're perfectly secure. And people are basically, it feels almost like a sort of Mad Max scenario where people are sort of hawking their wares in this kind of post-apocalyptic world. This
And
massive
that's going in
expanse.
the bunker.
No, honestly, so I was talking to these vendors at one point, and at one stage, a guy came over trying to sell them a trading card for like 800, 900 quid, and they were looking at it. I think one of them just said to him like, please don't let your sentimental attachment to this cloud its judgment, your judgment of how much it's worth and its valuation. Like, don't get upset. So it was also like a childhood, pretty mercenary.
This reminds me of one of my university jobs, which one summer I spent an entire summer putting collectible metal coins into those plastic round holder things.
Is that quite a finicky
oh,
process?
dreadful.
And
and
that
it
sounds
like
really vile.
it deletes all the skin on your thumbs as well as you like press them in and stuff like that.
So quite good if you want to go like
Terrible.
anonymous for a while.
Yeah, exactly. I could have committed quite a lot of cat theft crimes. But I mean, the Pokemon brand fascinates me because it had a big sort of resurgence a few years ago. And I
Like
thought,
Pokemon Go.
yeah, Pokemon Go, I did that. I was in university when that came out. Bought a battery pack to power my phone because it would run down the battery like crazy. But I mean, Pokemon have just released a new game for the Nintendo Switch, Pokopia.
Pokopia.
Yeah, Wikipedia describe it as a spiritual combination of Minecraft, something called Viva Pinata, and Animal Crossing.
God,
And
the combination we didn't know we wanted.
it
or
sold
needed.
2.2 million units in 4 days. It is the 4th best-selling game for Switch 2 this year. I've tried it. It's good fun. And people are building like all sorts of weird stuff in it. So this Pokemon phenomenon is going nowhere.
And presumably quite a lot of people who are buying into that are in their 30s or even 40s, and they're the kind of people who were there in the initial 1990s Pokemon craze when it first was imported over
those
to
kids
the
now
UK.
have money.
Another point I sort of wanted to bring up, just on the nature of the like how much these things have increased in value and inflated in value, is I was talking to a sort of arts advisory council, and she was telling me about what happens when people suddenly get these art collections which balloon in value. And she was saying that people should be very wary with trading cards, that the very act of trading them, if you have suddenly got these cards which are very valuable, is in itself liable for capital gains tax. So there is a minefield attached around it. Obviously, I could talk about this for hours, but I can see us being wrapped up. So if anyone wants to read about it, it's on the website. But otherwise, I'm sure we will revisit
Send
Pokemon
us-
at some other time.
Tweet us what cards you have, the most expensive cards.
We can give you advice.
We'll give you... No,
we can't.
We can't give you advice.
we can not give you advice.
Absolutely not. Anyway, that's all we have time for today. Thank you very much for listening to Business as Usual, brought to you by Okta.
And in the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to City AM's daily newsletter and, of course, to download our free app.
It even has puzzles now, but alas, no Pokemon games. It's the bank holiday, so we'll be back in your podcast feeds on Tuesday at 6 a.m. But for now, have a great bank holiday. But for now, bye-bye.
Goodbye.